nationwide this weekend, and also starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Time this Saturday on the Salem News Channel. Firefighters are battling to control major fires in the Los Angeles area. At least 5 people have died, while some 180,000 residents are under evacuation orders for all blazes in the county.
In Palisades Village, one resident's home was untouched by flames. Dylan Vincent returned to the neighborhood where he's lived most of his life to retrieve some items before evacuating again.
The community rallying together. I know everyone's been on the phone texting about how we're going to come back from this.
Fierce winds that drove flames earlier this week have calmed somewhat and aren't expected to be as powerful. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Authorities are just beginning to calculate the toll. Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristen Crowley says the Palisades fire along the coast burned thousands of structures, and cadaver dogs and search crews are searching the rubble for more victims. Markets were closed today for the National Day of Mourning for President Carter. More at townhall.com.
You've heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money, but if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month, and they love it. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Call now. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
The average long-term U.S. mortgage rate ticked up again this week, remaining at its highest level since July. The benchmark 30-term fixed rate loan rate rose to 6.93% from 6.91% last week, according to mortgage giant Freddie Mac. It was 6.66% a year ago. It has risen now for 4 straight weeks. World shares were mixed as the U.S. stock market remained closed to observe a national day of mourning today for former President Jimmy Carter. Shares fell in Tokyo. In the U.S. bond market, trading ended early. Treasury yields held relatively steady. That was following a strong run higher that rattled the stock market. On Wednesday, the stock market finished mixed. Wall Street will reopen on Friday morning. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Very chilly with a low temperature this evening, dipping down to 23. Tomorrow, things will change dramatically. We'll have clouds much of the day that turns to rain, sleet, and some snow for the afternoon. Dangerous driving conditions for the drive home with a high of just 37. And those icy conditions could carry into Saturday morning. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-25 Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right. Welcome in Sports Talk Media Network. And we are happy to have you with us, bundled up. Hope you're warm, getting ready for the snowstorm of 2025 tomorrow here in South Carolina. Somewhere Chris Bergen he's just smiling. He's gonna love it. He's been frolicking in the snow up in Boone, North Carolina, with Coastal Carolina. They got beat last night. They played like they were out in the snow, all cold shooting and all that. But we'll get through it, and then the temperatures will, I think, return to somewhat normal levels for this time of the year. Hope you had a great day as you're heading home, and we appreciate you joining us here on Sports Talk, wherever you're dialed in across the state of South Carolina. And our phone number is 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. We are wide open for your phone calls tonight. Had a couple of possible guests reached out to and have not yet confirmed their availability, so we'll just open up the phone lines and hear what you have to say. In particular, what is wrong with the South Carolina basketball team? After 2 SEC games, they look like the worst team in the SEC. To be honest with you, they're playing like the worst team in the SEC. They're not that, I don't think, but with their schedule and with the way they've played, it could be a really, really long winter time for this basketball team, unless they start playing better. I'm not cashing in the chips on them after 2 games, but it's pathetic, the first 2 performances. I mean, just pathetic. And when you expand it a little bit more, their last 3 games against SEC competition, they've been blown out. Auburn in the SEC tournament, then the game at Mississippi State, and then last night. And I don't know. Is it bad personnel mix? Does this team not have the chemistry of the team of last year? Obviously, they're missing some key players from last year. The guys who've replaced them, maybe they're not as good. Maybe the drop-off at point guard is too great. Maybe they miss B.J. Mack. Maybe they miss Michi Johnson more than they thought. The guys who have been charged with replacing them aren't getting the job done. But Colin Murray-Boyles has got to play like a first-round draft pick that people said he's supposed to be. But I'm telling you, going back to last year, and he's a fine player, I think, and it's not a nice future and potential, but too many games against prime opponents, he disappears. Like he took 6 shots last night. You can't be him and take 6 shots. There's got to be a reason why he's not getting more looks, more touches, more opportunities. Lamont Paris has got to figure that out. He's your best player. You got to get him more involved. I don't know what the answer is, but somebody over there needs to figure out what the answer is. And, the shooting is, nothing special. The free throw shooting is, it's around 70%, upper 60s, maybe a little bit better than it has been. Turnovers last night, not many assists. The ball's sticking, not moving. And, of course, the defense hasn't been very good. There's a lot of things wrong now with this South Carolina basketball team. Are they being exposed because they're playing great teams? You think they've played good teams so far? Wait till Saturday. Auburn is coming to town. Might be the best team in the country. And they will try to just blow South Carolina out, as these other teams have done. They'll just try to blow them out of the Colonial Life Arena. An 0-3 start, I don't think, was projected for this team at all, even though the schedule is very, very difficult. And I looked up and down the schedule last night after getting to the game, and, the crowd was pretty dead by the time I got there, about 15 minutes ago in the game, by the time I got there after finishing up the show, and the crowd was pretty much out of it. And South Carolina was behind double digits, except for that 5-0 run to start the game. Apparently, I didn't see this because we were doing the show, but apparently they came out with some energy and some fire and made some shots, got out to a 5-0 lead, but, that ain't nothing. You still had 38 minutes to play, 37 minutes to play. So not a good performance, back-to-back lousy performances. Now they got Auburn, then back-to-back games at Vanderbilt and at Oklahoma. Both of those teams have really fine records, and Oklahoma last night blew an 18-point lead at home against Texas A&M. So they had a great chance to beat A&M, which is a ranked team. Oklahoma's been a ranked team. And then it's Florida and Mississippi State, and then a trip to Georgia. And then it's A&M and Kentucky and Ole Miss and Florida again, all ranked teams. Now, you're going to play South Carolina 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of your next 10 against ranked teams. And the two teams that aren't ranked, Vanderbilt, they're good, and Georgia, and they just beat Kentucky and might be ranked this week. Then a trip to LSU, then Texas. I don't know where they're going to find any wins the way they're playing. I don't want to sit here and suggest they're going to have a donut for their SEC record. But if they don't play better, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. They could go from an NCAA tournament team to a team that doesn't win an SEC game. You know, don't laugh. How many SEC games did Missouri win last year? I think it was one. I think Missouri won one SEC game last year. So it is possible. And if you keep playing like that, it will be reality. So a wake-up call is certainly necessary for this Gamecock basketball team, the way they played last night. Your thoughts are welcome, 888-898-2525. Meantime, no such issues for the USC women. They are pounding Texas A&M 49-19 with 4:57 to go in the third quarter at the Colonial Life Arena. The Aggies have missed their last 11 shots. The Gamecocks have gone on a 10-0 run. Not that it really matters. I mean, if you take the 10-0 run away, they're still up 20. So now they're up 30. And, they just picked right up where they left off last game and not have really affected this game by Watkins' absence. And leading the way for South Carolina to this point, you have got the freshman Edwards, who's got 10, and Kitts has got 9, and Hall's got 8, and Fagan's got 7, and Johnson's got 6. So very balanced scoring up and down the lineup. And South Carolina, as you might expect, leading 24-10 in the paint, outscoring the Aggies off the bench 21-2. And they've also taken a 30-27 edge on the boards. They've blocked 6 shots, got a couple of steals. So good performance so far by Dawn Staley's crew. They're on their way to another win, which will extend their winning streaks. Let me take a look here real quick just to remind myself what their winning streaks look like. They still have, even though they lost a game, of course, to UCLA, they still have some impressive winning streaks going on. So they're going to win this game tonight. So once this game is officially in the books and they win it, the Gamecock winning streaks will be thusly. They will be at, it'll be their 10th in a row overall, 66 in a row at home. 66 in a row at home. I mean, there are some Gamecock children who've never seen them lose at home, who are probably like 4 or 5 years old. Figure they play, 15 home games a year? So that's 5. That's 5 years. Yeah, if you're 5 years old, you're a Gamecock women's basketball fan, you've been going to the games, you've never seen them lose at home. 65 in a row, be 66 after this. This will be their 50th straight SEC win and their 40th straight at home. It's pretty ridiculous, some of their streaks. So that is what it will look like for the South Carolina women after they wrap this thing up against A&M. All right, so we got the first of the semifinals tonight in the college football playoffs, Notre Dame and Penn State. This will be in the Orange Bowl in Miami. And I think one of the big question marks is the health of Abdul Carter from Penn State. They're saying it'll be a game-time decision on him. If he's able to go, of course, I guess he'll be limited to some degree. I think he's got, is it a hip injury? I think he's working with a hip injury that's been bothering him. So, I don't know. Notre Dame, Penn State, two of the Blue Bloods. Notre Dame loves to run the football. Their quarterback, Riley Leonard, is, as we saw last game out, and as we've seen throughout his time, he was actually a very good passer at Duke, but they're not asking him to do all that much with his arm. We know that he's an excellent runner. I wonder how much they will lean on the running game tonight. Coach Reedy told us last night he thinks that they'll lean pretty heavily on the running game against Penn State, and because that's what they do well. And Leonard, of course, can run the ball, and you don't put the ball in jeopardy as much, of course, when you're not throwing it all that much. If they can, of course, stay ahead of the chains and stay even or ahead on the scoreboard, you probably won't see them throw it all that much. They're going to line up behind that big offensive line and try and run it right down, if you can run it down the throat of Penn State. I mean, the size up front for Notre Dame on their offensive line, left tackle, they left to right, they go 294, 310, 310, 325, and 291. So they're teeny at tackle, 294 and 291. Teeny, but a little bit bigger in the middle. So that Penn State defensive front, and if Carter's able to play, that'll be a bonus for them. But that defensive front's going to be challenged by the size and strength of that Notre Dame offensive front. Of course, now Penn State, I believe, will try to throw it a little bit more than Notre Dame probably plans to throw it. As you look at their numbers going into the ball game, Penn State, 67% completion, almost 68% completion, ninth best in the FBS compared to 66% for Notre Dame. And throwing the football, Penn State, 234 yards a game. That was number 8 in the Big Ten and 58th nationally. Notre Dame, 189 yards a game. That was 108th nationally. So as you can tell, Notre Dame's going to really try and rely on the running game here. As far as the running game numbers go for the two teams, Penn State runs it pretty well also at 202 yards a game. That's 18th nationally. And Notre Dame is right there with them at 217, and that's 11th nationally. So obviously Penn State on paper's got a little bit more balance in their offense between the run and the pass. So Notre Dame is averaging about 38 a game, and Penn State's averaging at 34 a game. Defensively, against the pass, Penn State's been giving up 188 yards a game. That's 27th nationally. Notre Dame is 5th nationally at 167. So good matchup there between that Notre Dame defense and the passing game of Penn State. Against the run, Penn State is 8th nationally, right at 101 yards per game. Notre Dame is 34th nationally at 128 yards per game. So both are pretty good on defense, and I don't know. I think I'm going to have to lean to Penn State here. I think I'll give it to Penn State and kind of lean that way, just because I think it's going to be a good night throwing the football. The weather should be fine down in Miami, and they should be able to do what they normally try to do on offense, which is that balance between running it and throwing it. I imagine defensively they're certainly going to be beefed up front, probably walk 6 or 7 in the box and say, okay, if Riley Leonard can beat us throwing the football, then go for it. We'll live with that. That's how I imagine that they will try and play it. So the first of the two semifinals tonight, and, of course, tomorrow night, Texas and Ohio State. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. We'll open up the phone lines for you and hear what's on your mind tonight about anything we've talked about thus far or anything else. We've got some other news notes to talk about when we come back as well. Phone number, 888-898-2525. First one's up for the first one's in tonight, Thursday edition of Sports Talk Media Network. We'll be right back.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Whether it's becoming a teacher, dentist, or engineer, every child deserves the chance to chase their dreams. Investing in a child's education with Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, can help turn those big dreams into next steps. So don't wait. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your rec case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, they're going to the fourth quarter, and it's now 63-27 South Carolina over Texas A&M. And then on Sunday, the USC women take on Texas at home. So they get the Texas two-step here this week in Columbia. Texas A&M and then Texas. That's a 1 o'clock game on Sunday. Then they go to Alabama, then back home for a couple of games. Oklahoma, LSU, and then they close out the month with a game at Tennessee. So will the and I shouldn't just mention LSU. I mean, it's LSU on January 23rd. That will be huge, of course. So we'll see if the USC women can continue their winning ways as they move on through the schedule. Phone number 888-898-2525, and our text line number is 803-900-4847. If you want to reach us by text, if you're watching us on our stream on Facebook, YouTube, you can also send us a message, of course, through their messaging systems as well. All right, a few other things to discuss tonight on this Thursday night edition of Sports Talk. A few other news notes of interest, I think, worth kicking around. The Garnet Trust, South Carolina's NIL arm, announced today that Brady Hunt had signed his contract for 2025, his NIL deal. So he'll be back in the tight end room for South Carolina. Coastal Carolina announced the 2025 opponents and locations. This was in connection with the Sun Belt doing this for all their teams. So only a few dates are known, the dates outside of the league. So they'll play August 30th at Virginia to open the season. Then September 6th at home against Charleston Southern. The next week at home against East Carolina. And then, well, not then, but at the end of the year for them at South Carolina on November 22nd. Then their Sun Belt home opponents' dates are still to be determined. At home, they'll play Georgia State, James Madison, Marshall, and ULM. So the home games for the Shots will be for next year: Charleston Southern, East Carolina, Georgia State, James Madison, Marshall, and ULM. From a Sun Belt standpoint, I believe having JMU and Marshall coming to town is pretty big. And, of course, Georgia State's sort of like their rival. On the road, Appalachian State, Georgia Southern, Old Dominion, and South Alabama. I guess actually Georgia Southern is more the rival than Georgia State. You know, you don't really want to play Georgia State at home. As Chris Bergen would tell you, the visiting team has won every game in that series. You might want to call up and say, hey, you know what? We'll play Georgia State in Atlanta again. Seems to work out better for us. Furman's basketball game against Wofford, scheduled for Saturday at Bon Secours Arena, has been postponed until Monday night, 7 o'clock, because of the expected inclement weather, hazardous road conditions in the upstate this weekend. So if you're a Furman fan, change your plans for Monday. And ESPN PR put out today that And this is why when people say everything that's happened around college football, and they believe it's such a detriment and it's going to hurt the sport, hurt the game, but in the most important metric, the one that everybody relies on, the most important metric, it's not hurting whatsoever, and that is television. So ESPN reported today that the bowl season on their platform saw, as they put it, remarkable growth, drawing significant increases in viewership across key demographics. The 33 non-playoff bowls averaged 2.7 million viewers, a 14% year-over-year increase, and the largest audience since the 2019-2020 season. Gains were particularly notable among viewers aged 18 to 49, with a 21% rise in that demographic. Now, what do you point to? I mean, seriously, does the give me a bowl. Does the Valero Bowl in Texas, the Texas Valero Bowl, now I know Colorado was playing in it, and they actually had a huge audience, but is that attractive to young adults and older teens? I'm telling you, it's the gambling aspect. Gambling, been my opinion since all these numbers started spiking, that the gambling, the ease to gamble, the availability of gambling, and having it right on television in front of you, and, of course, with ESPN in the gambling business, which I find hard to believe, but they are because they have their own sports book now, and they're constantly plugging their sports book, and they're constantly plugging the odds for games and moments and individual events. Certainly, that's got to be driving it. Certainly. The 14 of the 33 bowls achieved at least a 5-year high in viewership, with 5 reaching 10-year highs. Notably, the Alamo Bowl attracted 8 million viewers, making it the most watched non-CFP New Year's Six bowl on any network in 5 years. Meanwhile, the ReliaQuest Bowl drew 6.5 million. Of course, that was Alabama, Michigan, right? Earning the distinction of cable's second most watched non-CFP bowl in 9 years. ESPN's 25 games averaged 2.4 million viewers, a 15% year-over-year increase, and with fans consuming 12.9 billion minutes of content. 12.9 billion minutes of content. These games contributed to 3 of ESPN's 11 most watched days of the year. ABC also saw impressive results, drawing its largest non-CFP bowl audience in 11 years. Across 5 games, ABC averaged 5.0 million viewers, a 71% year-over-year increase. I mean, the games are not all that attractive. They're not. Who's excited about watching a couple of 6 and 6s? Or a couple of 7 and 5s even? It's got to be the gambling. It's got to be. People putting money down, they want to watch the games and see how their money's riding. So anyway, doesn't matter to ESPN why you're watching. The fact is you are watching, and that counters the argument that everything that's going on is killing college football. Obviously, it is not, and we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Very chilly with a low temperature this evening, dipping down to 23. Tomorrow, things will change dramatically. We'll have clouds much of the day that turns to rain, sleet, and some snow for the afternoon. Dangerous driving conditions for the drive home with a high of just 37. And those icy conditions could carry into Saturday morning. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the Biden administration has succeeded in temporarily blocking a plea deal for accused 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed that would spare him the risk of the death penalty for al-Qaeda's September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. The decision by a 3-judge panel of the District of Columbia Federal Appeals Court grants an unusual request by the government to postpone a deal reached by the Defense Department's own officials. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has resigned his seat in the U.S. Senate effective Friday. The move will trigger Republican Governor Mike DeWine's closely watched appointment of a successor. Vance made his intentions known in a letter to DeWine on Thursday. Markets were closed today for the National Day of Mourning for President Carter. More details at srnnews.com.
If you are 65 or older,
customer service. We all talk about how it's gone down the tubes in recent years, but not everywhere. Not with the Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. These are the folks I want you to feel comfy reaching out to for your Medicare and health insurance needs. Tim Hanberry and Medicare Blueprint have joined Hickory Hill Insurance. The result? Even better customer service with a bigger team to help you by utilizing the very best technology in the industry. And you know what else? Just plain old caring about people and treating them like their family. When you call them, you'll get a call back fast. When you need a question answered, they'll take the time to help. This industry's so confusing and so ever-changing. They have a team that knows the best plans for you. They'll ask all the questions, they'll get all the answers, and as always, it won't cost you a penny to get their services. The best way to learn more? Visit the website, partdandme.com. That's partdandme.com, or call the team at Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. They're local, and they're willing to talk one-on-one. Remember, customer service still matters. 708-7398, 708-7398, or online, partdandme.com.
Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and that means it's time to get your finances back on track. With Founders Federal Credit Union, you can manage your debt like a pro this year. Consolidate any high-interest debt with a personal loan from Founders. Debt consolidation offers several advantages, like simplified payments, lower interest rates, fixed interest rates, and extended payment terms. It may even improve your credit score or even help you avoid default. So simplify and possibly reduce your payments by consolidating your debt. At Founders, we have personal loans to fit your needs, whether you need a little or you need a lot. Plus, our loan officers will work with you on your payment terms and help you find a solution that fits your budget. So stop by one of our locations or visit foundersfcu.com/personal loans to apply for a personal loan today. Relax. You're with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Imagine a home where every corner speaks volumes of care, precision, and impeccable style. At Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations, we transform spaces with a splash of color and an expert touch. With fully licensed, bonded, and insured craftsmanship, we're not just doing a job, we're upholding a reputation. Whether it's painting, pressure washing, or wood repairs, we handle everything from your honey-do list to major projects. Call us today at 922-5615 and elevate your living space with Southern Palmetto Painting and Renovations.
Hi, John here from Redbird Windows and Doors. You know what really bothers me about my industry? It's gimmicks instead of honesty. With Redbird, it's pretty simple. We do absolutely great work, we're local, and our projects are fairly priced. If you're ready for some new windows and doors or need our help, you'll get high-quality materials, service, and my personal guarantee. Online, find us at redbirdwindows.com or call me directly at 727-0561. That's 727-0561. Redbird Windows and Doors.
To 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports Talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
Okay, we're back. It is Sports Talk, Media Network. Hoping to make you feel good tonight, talking about sports, leading into the college football playoff semifinal, talking some college basketball. And in just a couple of moments, we'll hear from USC coach Lamont Paris following the loss last night to Alabama in Columbia. If you want to chime in on the program, 888-898-2525 is our phone number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Lines are open for you right now, so if you want to grab a line and join us with some comments, some observations, more than happy to hear from you tonight. Want to remind you here on Sports Talk that Underdog Fantasy is something that we endorse for you. Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't tried it, right now, tonight, it's a great time to get started with the college football playoff semifinals kicking off. Underdog is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. And this is a national thing. I've seen them advertised nationally. So it's a big deal. It's the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. But it's amazing. It's amazing how big fantasy sports have become. I can remember 15, 20 years ago, there was a guy in South Carolina, and he was a contributor to Sports Talk until he gave it up. His name is Fantasy Buddha. Fantasy Buddha. He was from Bennettsville, and he was a guest on our shows back then. This is before fantasy became so big that you had a channel on Sirius, and before you had television shows dedicated to fantasy. This Fantasy Buddha was doing it many, many years ago, and nobody was better than this guy. And when we had him on our shows back then, phone lines were just jammed. He gave it up because he got fed up with the NFL. I guess he's still not doing it like he was, but at that time he just was fed up with, was the NFL going on strike or something? He was just fed up with the whole NFL deal. But man, you talk about knowing everything about how to run a team, play in a league, all the ins and outs, who to acquire, who to sit, who to play. People called him from all over asking his advice. So my point in all that is, how far has the fantasy deal come? And it's come a long, long way. So what we're suggesting, if you love playing fantasy sports, head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. And right now, you can place an entry on this. Notre Dame quarterback Riley Leonard's combined passing and rushing yards, or number of catches for former Clemson receiver Bo Collins, and points scored for former Gamecocks kicker Mitch Jeter. Yeah, we got all kind of connections to this game between those guys. You can also play fantasy with college hoops, the NFL, and the NBA. So visit UnderdogFantasy.com, register with your promo code SportsTalkBonus to claim your free pick and your first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now, you must be 18 or older, 19 or older if you're in Alabama and Nebraska, or 19 or older in Colorado. For some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. So have some fun, enjoy it, keep it real, and see what you might be able to accomplish in the world of fantasy sports. Other basketball tonight, Charleston College of is playing at Hofstra. One Southern Conference game ongoing, and it's late. About 2 minutes to go. Greensboro is leading Chattanooga 68-67. Last night, Furman got a nice win against Citadel on the road. Wofford picked up a nice victory as well in Southern Conference play. And updating the USC women as that game rolls to a conclusion at the Colonial Life Arena. Of course, it's been over for a while. 85-41 with 2:38 to play. USC women have more than doubled it up on the Texas A&M Aggies. 85-41. Texas A&M coming in with an 8-6 record and a 1-1 record in the SEC. So they are no match for South Carolina today in Columbia. The Gamecocks are shooting 52%. A&M is shooting 26%. Talk about clunkers, 18 of 70. So they have missed 52 shots. They're 18 of 70. The Gamecocks are 32 of 62. They've made 8 threes, the Gamecocks have, 14 of 16 from the line. So they've had a good all-around game. They've also scored 23 points off turnovers. They're winning on the boards, though they've only had 6 offensive rebounds. But they haven't missed as many shots as A&M has also. 52 points off the bench and 34 points in the paint and 23 fast break points for the Gamecocks. So they're doing everything well today. They're going to run all those streaks up another game as they now lead 87-41. Now, last night it was not fun for the USC men. It was just downright ugly. And fans were leaving 10 minutes to go in the ball game. Fans had had enough. They just didn't like the product they were seeing, and they weren't going to hang around. And they were playing an excellent team, but, I mean, this is 2 games in a row where you've been handled without much of a push. Alabama, it was close for a few minutes early, then Alabama hit them with a run, and they built the lead, and at the half they had a 45-28 lead. The Gamecocks got it down to 14 points, but nothing under 14 points in the second half, so they never really threatened. The Gamecocks were led last night by Jacoby Wright, who bounced back from a poor shooting game to have a good shooting game. He had 20 points. That's a career high. 7 of 12 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the line. Jamari Thomas, he can well, if I can spit it out, he can score. But he's not the defender that Cooper was, no question about that. 15 points, however. He had 1 assist but 3 turnovers. 13 points for Nick Pringle, who also had 6 rebounds. You have to go down the list here to find Colin Murray Boyles. He had 6 points, and he had 8 rebounds, 3 assists. He was the team was minus 12 when he was on the court. That ain't helping you. 1 of 6. That's what I'm talking about. They got to get him in the offense more. And you'll hear Lamont Paris talking about that in just a moment. So just a very poor night once again for the South Carolina basketball team as they fall to 0-2 in SEC play. Here is Lamont Paris, some of what he had to say after that shellacking last night by the Crimson Tide.
They have a good team. I mean, I think we already knew that and anticipated that, but they were really aggressive, and I think that showed itself at times. And so part of growing is to have to adapt to that and maybe fail in some of those situations. But I thought we played hard. I think the biggest area of improvement for us, one is that I think we have to compete. Someone asked me before the game, and they said if there was one area that you could really play well tonight, I said it would be competing. If we were just to dominate from a competition and competitive spirit standpoint, I feel good about what we were going to do. I mean, either that or make 33s, whatever, which I'd take either one of those. But I thought that was the area. But they did a good job of attacking and competing, and there were times. Some of it was because we had some young guys in there that haven't been in those situations before. Some of it is some guys it's not in their nature as much, and so if they have to log heavy minutes, it gets exposed more versus some guys that were even playing last year that played smaller roles. And one game they didn't compete, another game they did pretty good or played well, and so they really added to our team. Well, this year they're being counted on for some of that, and so I think that's probably the biggest area of growth. But they have a good team. It's a hard schedule, obviously. Auburn's not going to care too much about how things went today, but that was my really only source of any disappointment at all. Really, honestly, was that I thought we could have competed better. in some physical situations and attacked more aggressively from a physical standpoint than what we did. That and still some things defensively that we have to clean up on, just some rules. They have good players. They're going to beat you sometimes, but you have rules that kind of help you navigate some of that stuff, and we're still violating some of those. You know, whether that be fatigue, lack of concentration, don't care enough to do it the way that you're asked to do it, whatever that is, we still have to clean some of that up.
Lamont, I realize that opponents are obviously keen on Colin, because he is the leading scorer. I think he's got 11 points and 8 turnovers in 2 SEC games now. Just how do you talk to him about saying, I know that they're doubling you, but you got to find a way past it?
Yeah, some of it's doubling. Some of it's, though, I think he's been sped up a little bit. I think there was more traffic in the Mississippi State game. And you got to make decisions in traffic and sometimes in a short amount of time. And he didn't do a great job that way. But I think if you look at the common denominator in these last 2 games, if you look at the from a personnel standpoint, who was guarding him most of the game, you have 2 guys that are really strong, right, that also are very mobile. And that's also what Colin does. That's why, from a defensive standpoint, he's hard to score on oftentimes. Most of the guys that guard him usually have one of those. They can match his physical strength and power, or they're agile enough to stay in front of him when he makes a quickness move. And I just think it turned out in these last 2 games. You had 2 guys that were able to do that. And then we got to do a better job of getting him in space with, ball screen to pocket pass and letting him attack. And, I think he's probably best that way. It's a little more difficult to do that when he and Nick are both on the floor. Just there's not quite as much space to do that. So we've had success to this point when both those guys are in there at throwing the ball into the post and having one or the other make some good moves. But Colin just, he struggled with the personnel.
This was by far the most Arden's played in any game in his career. Was it just as simple as Miles not being available, or was there something else he's doing to earn those minutes? And I guess also, what did you see from him tonight in those minutes?
I think the primary impetus behind it was Miles being out. I mean, Miles plays 25 plus minutes for us, so you have to account for those somehow. So it's one of a couple of things. Either the guys that are playing the bulk of the minutes amp their minutes up, and you distribute that over the 2 or 3 positions that Miles would play, or you have to play some other guys. And I think the candidates that had identified themselves the most were Jordan Butler and Arden, of guys that weren't playing. Particularly Arden, because he's got a little more versatility in terms of how many positions he can play and who he can defend. I thought he did a good job defensively on the ball. I think the best thing he does is guard the ball while he's guarding his man and he has the ball. I think that's probably the best thing he does defensively. Once actions start happening and you got to make decisions on switching and communicate early on some of those things, as a younger guy, there's some struggles with that. But I thought he did a good job guarding the ball. He had a nice aggressive rip to the baseline, which drew a foul. So there were some bright spots for him. But I think the bulk of it was mainly because of, Miles being out and trying to just find some of those minutes, divvy those minutes up a little bit more so that certain guys didn't have to play. We didn't have to have 3 or 4 guys playing 37 minutes. I think you can do that one game here or there, but to do that for a whole season, rest of the season.
You mentioned Arden's defense a little bit. What have you seen from him in practice that's made you feel like he's made progress from the start of the summer to now?
Defensively, I'd say is the biggest part of it. I mean, he probably, just because at this time of the year, once you start playing these games, he's mainly playing his reps on the scout team, and so he hasn't stood out offensively as many times because he may be playing a guy that doesn't fit his skill set. So he's kind of handcuffed on what he can do based on trying to adhere to what the personnel and the scout is. So, but defensively and competitively, he's made some improvements. This game comes down to competing. At the end of the day, it comes down to competing. I just don't think if you look across the landscape of college basketball, by and large, I don't think there's near as much separation in just sheer talent. I don't. But those that compete, really compete and fight and attack the rim and dive on a loose ball, and there's a scrum for a rebound, and it's no more your rebound than it is my rebound based on where we are and where the ball comes. Do I get it or do you get it? Do I let you get it or do I snatch it? The game, there's so many unpredictable plays in a basketball game, in 40 minutes of a basketball game, that come down to who wins those. And this was a prime example of not being able to do it. And so when you don't win those, it does make your margin of error smaller. You have to shoot the ball really well, or you can't turn the ball over the way that we did.
Coach, I believe the assist-to-turnover ratio after these first two SEC games is 18-29. What's kind of been the struggle on offense when it pertains to maybe ball movement and shot creation, balancing that with avoiding some turnovers?
Yeah, I think Mississippi State is I think that game, they play a unique style of defense. So opening up with that game, I think it probably skews it a little bit because there's not as much ball movement against them. It's just you're not going to attack it that way. So I think that skews it a little bit, but that doesn't excuse anything that happened with turning the ball over tonight. And I think it's decisions and execution of those decisions. Throwing a pocket pass, there's a window. It's certainly the right decision. Execution of that. I think there were a lot of situations where if we went back to that scenario, you could complete that play. I think you can complete that play. I think we have to be better. We have to be better basketball players than that. If you're going to turn those over, then you're going to have a lot of turnovers. We haven't done that in a lot of games. We've had so many same situations. You got longer and more athletic guys that are getting here. Maybe they're sped up a little bit more than what they have, but you got to learn to slow down. And if we run a ball screen play, there's a reason why people run ball screens. You get an advantage. The defense has decided what they're going to do. If they do this, you do that. If they do that, you do this. Like, we have to be able to execute those things. I think they're pretty normal things that if you're a player at this level, the expectation should be that you're able to do those things without turning the ball over. We had a couple more. Arden was in there. He's dribbles behind his back and dribbles it out of bounds on one. He goes between his legs on another one in the corner and turns it over. So some of it's that. Cam, another young guy, comes off and in a ball screen situation where we have an advantage. The guy guarding the screen attacks him, the roller's open, and he doesn't deliver it. And they steal it and go down and get an and one. So, some of it's younger guys doing that, but others guys get sped up. Nick's going to turn it over some. He did in the last game. He traveled in this one. Colin's got to clean his turnovers up. He's got to be a much better distributor, or if he's not distributing, all his turnovers need to be that he attacked, something happened, the guy stripped him, which kind of was the case at Mississippi State. The guy stripped him or dribbled it off his leg. Like, the passes need to just be whatever's the most straightforward pass that's right in front of him. He needs to just make that.
All right, there you go. Comments from Lamont Paris after the Gamecocks lost last night to Alabama. They're going to try and bounce back against Auburn. Good luck, because Auburn's are they better than Alabama? I mean, they're every bit as good, maybe better. I mean, they're top, Alabama was 5, Auburn's like 3 or something. So the world the Gamecocks live in is like the football team. It's the SEC. It is not a friendly neighborhood. Auburn's number 2. We'll be back in just a moment.
want to be a teacher. I want to be a dentist. I want to be an engineer.
Making dreams come true starts with making a plan. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to invest in a child's future education so they can chase any dream. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
Mike here for my good friend Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. Let's face it, it's been a rough go for mortgage rates the last couple of years. And now more than ever, you need someone on your side to get you the very best possible rate on a new mortgage or a refi. That's where Troy comes in. 27 years of experience working for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, rehabilitation loans, all doable with my man Troy Branham of Golden Gate Mortgage. And when I say doable, I mean the best possible rate that's out there. It's a phone call that can literally save you thousands of dollars. 803-238-0111. 803-238-0111. You can also check out the website ggmortgage.com.
If you're looking to grow your business, Sports Talk is here to help. I'm Matt Smith, and in addition to reporting for Sports Talk, I'm in charge of helping business owners make the most of our statewide platforms. Whether you're a small business owner or part of a large company operating here in the Palmetto State, we'd love to hear about your business. Sports Talk has a track record of delivering results to our partners, and it's probably more affordable than you think. Our network of affiliates allows us the flexibility to work with budgets of all sizes, and our statewide coverage means that whether you're in Greenville, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Charleston, Woodruff, or somewhere in between, your future customers are listening to Sports Talk. Every business has a story, and we want to hear yours. It's our mission to serve this state, and that means finding success together. Please contact us through our website, SportsTalkSC.com. That's SportsTalkSC.com to partner with Sports Talk.
All right, it's all over. It's all over at the CLA, 90-49, the final score. Let's go to Keith in Camden. Joining us here on Sports Talk, we approach the top of the hour. Welcome in, Keith. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
Just quick question. I listened to Lamont, and I don't know if I've missed it, but basically what I understood, he said, there's really not a vast difference in talent from any of these schools, but at the end of the day, it's kind of want effort. I watched the Mississippi State game, and then I watched last night. Did I hear that right? And also, are you buying it? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, bud.
Thank you. Appreciate the phone call. I think the effort has not been there. I think he said even last night, I know he said it after Mississippi State, and I think he said it again last night, the physical effort, the physicality has not been there. The banging, the knocking over people to get a basketball, I guess, diving on the floor, effort plays. I don't think they've been there for South Carolina in these two SEC games thus far. And I think he's made mention of that, the physicality side of it for his team. Talent-wise, there's some good players on the South Carolina team. There are. But they've just run up against two more talented teams, and they're going to run up against a third on Saturday. So they have to elevate their game. They have to rise above to be able to compete with these teams right now. Top of the hour, and we'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Authorities in Southern California are just beginning to take stock of the damage caused by the deadly wind-whipped fires which assaulted the Los Angeles area. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
Thousands of homes and other structures have burned down in the Palisades fire. Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
It is safe to say that the Palisades fire is one of the most destructive natural disasters in the history of Los Angeles.
At least 180,000 residents are under evacuation orders for all blazes in LA County. Crews are focusing on utility restoration, but sewer, water, and power infrastructure has all been significantly damaged. Before repair work can begin, debris, including fallen tree limbs and hazardous materials from burned structures, have to be removed. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The nation said farewell to former President Jimmy Carter during a state funeral at Washington National Cathedral today. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
All of President Carter's living successors attended the service along with family members to pay tribute to the 39th president, his grandson Jason.
His life was a testament to the goodness of God.
Stephen Ford, the son of the late President Ford, addressed Carter's children.
God did a good thing when he made your dad.
President Biden summed up Carter with one word.
Jimmy Carter's enduring attribute, character.
The pageantry of the state funeral preceded Carter's burial in his small hometown of Plains, Georgia. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Biden administration has succeeded in temporarily blocking a plea deal for the accused mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you need to vacate this home.
Why, officer? I own this home free and clear. I lived here for 40 years.
Well, unfortunately, this paperwork says otherwise.
But I have nowhere else to go.
I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am.
This story is becoming all too common in the U.S. Scammers are preying on people with high equity or who own their homes free and clear of a mortgage. Only one company completely protects you. That's Equity Protect. Get your free risk report by texting the word HOME to 94878. Again, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report from Equity Protect.
Republicans appear close to settling on a strategy for passing President-elect Donald Trump's sweeping border security, energy, and tax agenda. We hear more on this story from correspondent Bernie Bennett, who has this report.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said in a brief interview Wednesday evening that House and Senate GOP leaders are likely to make a final decision by Thursday about how they'll pursue the budget reconciliation process to enact their policy priorities and extend expiring tax cuts. Privately, House GOP leaders are optimistic key senators are getting behind Johnson's push for one massive reconciliation bill, a procedural maneuver that allows the majority party to advance a legislative package without relying on the minority party's votes. Johnson spent Wednesday meeting with Republicans in his office, discussing a long list of potential spending cuts and a myriad of ways to pay for the bill. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
News and analysis available at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Very chilly with a low temperature this evening, dipping down to 23. Tomorrow, things will change dramatically. We'll have clouds much of the day that turns to rain, sleet, and some snow for the afternoon. Dangerous driving conditions for the drive home with a high of just 37. And those icy conditions could carry into Saturday morning. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. The Point. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2, Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Great to have you with us. Appreciate you listening to us tonight on one of our great stations around South Carolina. Reminder that not only are we on the air on 25-plus stations around South Carolina, we also offer our feeds of the show video-wise and audio-wise. You can get us on the Chief Sports app. It's a free app. Download it. Go to your Play Store or your Apple Store and download that. You will not be disappointed. It's a great app. Also, our YouTube channel, Sports Talk Media Network, our Facebook page, Sports Talk Media Network, and now we're using Facebook more and more for disseminating whatever information we come across. So if you follow us on our on our Sports Talk Media Network Facebook page, if you're following that, and you're on our timeline, then you get the little tidbits that we might throw out and also the stories that we write that are on SportsTalkSC.com. So our Twitter, as you might know, our Twitter is no longer functioning. Hasn't been functioning. It's a terrible thing to have a non-functioning Twitter, from what I understand.
But we don't need them, right?
Who needs them?
Yeah, losers.
Anyway, so we've just taken everything over to Facebook, which I think has a, shall we say, higher class of responders. I mean, at least from what I can tell, I've never been a Facebook person.
An older class of responders.
I don't like the word older. That word is banned from this show. I never want to hear that word again.
Elder.
No, that's a derivative. They are seasoned, they are experienced, and they have the money.
Like a nice French fry?
Let's face it, the people on Twitter, they ain't got no money. Those are the young people. They're trying to get started in life, you know. The people on Facebook, they're established. They're the people that the people on Twitter work for. The people on Twitter work for the people on Facebook.
Yeah, so, like nursing homes and like stuff like that. Is that what you're mentioning?
People listening on Facebook, they need to take shots at you for saying things like that.
Well, I mean, listen, it's I like Facebook, but it doesn't have the nice ring of Twitter. But I guess it's not Twitter anymore either. It's
what do you explain yourself by that comment?
Well, there's hashtags, which the CEO wants to get rid of.
There's a reason for that.
What's the reason?
I don't know, but there must be a reason.
It's a dumb reason, but still like Twitter. It's still important because that's where you get stories. That's a nice thing for sports.
Yeah, I will say, listen, I admit the world lives on X, but still, there's a significant number of people on Facebook. I'm still trying to figure out the best way for Facebook to work for us and serve our audience. So the point is, if you were a follower of ours on Twitter before we got hacked on October 31st, and then we've been basically denied the opportunity by X to establish a new account because they think we're violating their rules. This is what we're up against. They think we're violating their rules by trying to make another account, but we're not technically because our original account was hacked and has been deemed unusable. They won't store it, so we had no other choice. So, whatever. Check us out on our Facebook page at Sports Talk Media Network. One of the folks I reached out to today to join us has gotten back to me and will join us at 7:30. Jake Bentley, former USC quarterback, now the new head coach at Nation Ford High School in Fort Mill. That was announced yesterday. First head coaching job for Jake Bentley. And so we're going to talk with him at the bottom of the hour about his new job and what kind of head coach does he think he will be. He has, of course, he had a nice college career and he coached a little bit in college. He was at Rock Hill High School last season as the OC, co-OC, and the quarterback coach, and now he's going to be the head coach. So things have moved quickly for him. Of course, he comes from a football family. He comes from a quarterback family. Of course, his dad and I think 3 of his brothers were all quarterbacks as well. I think there were 4 quarterbacks. We'll have to ask him how many of them were quarterbacks in the family. So that'll be coming up at the bottom of the hour, so stay tuned for that. Catch you up on a couple things. South Carolina women big over Texas A&M, 90-49. And the Gamecocks had 5, make that 6 in double figures. Joyce Edwards off the bench led the way with a double-double, 19 points, and I take that back. 19 points, and no, I was correct. 19 points and 10 rebounds. Double-double for her. Full Wiley off the bench, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. Fagan had 12 points and 4 rebounds. Kitts had 11 points. Oh, something just dawned on me, and I'll tell you in a second. Kitts had 11 points and 7 rebounds. Johnson had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. It just dawned on me the problem for Colin Murray Boyles. It just dawned on me. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. He's in love. He's in love. He and Chloe Kitts, they date. They're boyfriend, girlfriend, if not more serious. He's in love and it's messing with his head. That's what I think. How many great athletes, when they have other things on their minds besides being a great athlete, struggle because of a woman?
What's the solution? Are you saying that he should break up with her? Is this a love show now?
Do I sound like Dr. Laura?
Kind of. Phil Cornflute.
I'm just telling you, that's got to be the reason. It's got to be. And who could blame him to have his mind elsewhere, I'm just, as an outside observer, I'm telling you, I think his love has gotten in the way here. He didn't have this, you know what? He didn't have this problem last year. They did start dating last year at some point. I don't know exactly when. But, yeah, that just dawned on me. Now, it's really not affecting her game, but that's a woman. Women are able to handle these things better than men, in my opinion. 51% shooting for the Gamecocks to 28% for the Aggies. The Gamecocks were 8 of 23 from 3, 18 of 21 at the foul line. So very good. And then, of course, dominant in the paint and off the bench and at any other area of the game, the South Carolina women dominating Texas A&M. I was wondering why they were playing this game at 5, and I guess how many of the ESPN channels are dedicated to the football game tonight? Are they doing like those multiple broadcasts? I don't know. But, I mean, why else would South Carolina play a game on ESPN at 5 unless it was to get out of the way of the football game, which coverage started around 7 o'clock? That's the only reason I could think you play this game at 5 o'clock, because ESPN wanted a lead-in. They wanted some kind of lead-in to their football broadcast tonight, and they said, hey, let's have a women's basketball game. How about it? Let's have one in Columbia with the Gamecocks. That's just, that's my take on that. All right, let's see what else we got going on basketball-wise. Mentioned that we've got one other state team in action tonight. They're underway up at Hofstra, and the College of Charleston and Hofstra, they are tied at 11, about just under 14 minutes to play in the first half. Some other games tonight. Ohio State leads Oregon 32-29, and Purdue over Rutgers 38-26. Those are a couple of the other major teams playing tonight. Sunbelt, Marshall leading James Madison 10-6. Troy over Texas State 11-6. And see if there's anybody else here worth mentioning. No, that's it. We'll keep an eye on that Charleston game as we move on. Phone number 888-898-2525. Got a message here from Janice on our YouTube channel. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us the subscription. Hit that subscription button that people hit. That subscribe. Hit that subscription button, people. Do us a big one.
And turn on the notifications so you know when we go live.
Yeah, good idea. Do that too. Whatever you have to do, do it. Janice, thank you for your note. Talking about the USC men's basketball team, and she said making some outside shots might take some pressure off the inside game. Yeah. Let's see. What did they do last night from 3? Let me pull that up here real quick. It wasn't good. Let's see. From 3 last night, the Gamecocks were 3 of 14. Yeah. So that wasn't good. What did they do against Mississippi State? Give me a second here. I can pull that up from the outside. Against Mississippi State, their previous game, the Gamecocks were 2 of 19. So what was that? 3 of 14 and 2 of 19. So that's 5 of 34 in SEC play thus far. What's that percentage? Smart boy. High school ace.
5 of 34.
Don't be use your head, man. Don't be typing it into Google. Don't
tell
Google
you.
everything.
I have no clue, Phil.
Surprise me.
I don't even know if this Google thing is right. I don't even know if I put it in right.
5 of 34 for the Gamecocks in their first 2 games shooting 3. So that's a good point. Make some threes, and that'll open things up. Our buddy Ray, who's always in a good mood, and he's following us on Facebook, sends us a message. Maybe you talk too much women's basketball and they block you. On Twitter, they're blocked. Hey, you know what? Ray, that might be the smartest thing you've ever said. Also want to know if Bentley's slogan, "Never Again," does he still use that today, or if he will ever kick a locker again.
Read the next one.
Let's see. What is this? Because no one is watching anyway. Come on, Phil.
Real nice.
So he's talking about the women's basketball game. Russell says they really miss Cooper and Mack. That's on YouTube. Yeah, they do. I think they miss Mack more than, people thought they would miss Mack because of his range. He could shoot the 3. He had the good size, hard to guard, made the defense come out and play you. Excellent points all. We appreciate it. Back to the phones, 888-898-2525. Jake Bentley coming up. We got some recruiting coming up as well. And it's Andy in Columbia with us next. Andy, welcome to Sports Talk. How you doing tonight?
Hello, Corn. Hello, Josh. First off, happy birthday to number 25 in our hearts, Dr. Rick.
Number 1 on your heart, number 25 on your roster.
And 5 of 34 is about 14-point-something%.
Oh, at least Google is right.
That's from my ciphering from my accounting days.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's not very good shooting percentage, but I'm glad you could figure that out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, well, that's why I became an accountant. I can cipher so well.
You were an accountant back in the day, huh?
Well, that's one of my degrees.
How many do you have?
I was a cost analyst.
I need a good. My company needs a good shyster accountant. Are you available?
Cost analyst or a tax accountant?
Just somebody who can cheat the government.
Well, I don't do taxes, so I only analyze your costs and your spending.
I can do that myself. We spend too much, and we don't charge enough or something. Yeah.
Well, let me give you a hint about Twitter. Maybe if you trade in the Pinto for a Tesla, you could have any account you wanted on Twitter.
That's a good idea. Maybe you can get like the ESPN account with all those millions of followers.
But the thing is, there's a common denominator between both those cars, and that is both of them will blow up if you hit them a certain way.
Well, I'll tell you what, the one that blew up in Las Vegas, obviously what it was made of was very good car, the steel, because it didn't do that much damage with all the explosives that
the body's like in the car. The body of the car, the Cybertruck, is like pure steel. Yeah. It's like the whole thing is
But it is the
steel.
ugliest thing on wheels. I mean, truly, it is the ugliest thing on wheels.
My cousin.
I mean, would you have one? Would you have one of those? Just on looks alone?
My wife has a Tesla SUV, and it's a pretty nice car. And I'll tell you what, when you put your foot on the gas pedal, you feel like you're in a rocket ship. It just takes off.
It's cool,
and
but
you don't hear it. It's just very, very, very low sound.
The cars are made
One other thing.
Terrible. The quality's terrible.
Well, that's why after 3 years they were able to trade it in for another Tesla for like $10,000. I mean, that's what kind of great person we're having running our budgeting of our country, and that he's taking 3-year-old cars that he sold and trading them in for brand new ones for $10,000. But that's a whole different other game and a whole different other story. But
sure
did you
is.
know also that Bree Beal and J.C. Horn also dated? And I don't think their dating pretty much affected their play.
But you see, that was two different types of seasons. So he was in football season. She was in basketball. They didn't really conflict. So he was
overlapped a little bit.
He was free, clear-minded while he was playing football because basketball didn't start till later. Not the same. Don't accept the argument.
Well, I'm just saying that those two. I don't know if they're still dating or not. But
well, do you believe my theory is? Do you believe my theory is possible?
Well, I think. Well, considering that both teams were in Starksville this weekend, it might have had a little bit of effect.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, good point. Good point.
So if we see that there's more games where they're both away at the same place, maybe so. There, Mr. Korn, you might have a good line on the theory there.
I'm telling you, nothing messes up an athlete's career than a male athlete's career.
Well, what we really need to find out is if when the teams travel and they're in the same city, that they stay in the same hotels.
Why wouldn't they? The men were in. Now, technically speaking, the men were there Friday, Saturday. They leave. The women probably got in Saturday, played Sunday, and left. So they probably passed. Maybe didn't cross.
I don't know because Coach Staley likes to be at the men's game. I wouldn't be surprised if they would get there late Friday evening for her to be able to attend the men's game on Saturday to support the team. Because you always see her on the sidelines during men's basketball games.
Well, I didn't see any shots of her or the team at Mississippi State. You would have thought they would have picked up on that, but you might be right. You might be right.
Yeah.
All right, we got to run. We got to run to the break.
Something I noticed out of it, but y'all have a good evening.
Okay.
And,
thank you.
Happy birthday to Dr. Rick, and like I said, next time you take him out for his birthday, please bring your wallet with you there, Mr. I forgot my wallet, can't pay the bill.
Well, it's tomorrow. We're having the trophy presentation tomorrow for Dr. Rick.
Where are you going? I'll meet you, and you can pay for my lunch too.
I really can't say because I can't afford to draw a crowd. So.
Oh, okay. I'll just call Rick and ask him where y'all are going.
Just follow his phone, his pinging of his phone. You can track him that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good night, fellas.
You too. Appreciate it very much. So one person agrees with me. It's growing. I think I'm onto something. All right, got to run to a break, and we'll be back. Recruiting is coming up. Jake Bentley coming up at the bottom of the hour. And we got some other comments here. Keith says Chloe Kitts is keeping CMB out of the portal, John. The loss of Cooper, Mack, and Michi. That's what's going on with this year's team. Yeah, you're certainly onto something there. Back in just a moment.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company.
Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
We're back. Our text line number, 803-900-4847. Got a text in here from Mike down in Beaufort. He said he's in love, in quotations. You're really reaching out there, Phil. I think some of those bricks you mentioned hit you in the head. True that. That's why I sit up in the stands. I don't sit near the baskets. From Roger on our text line, addressing your theory, this quote from Mickey talking to Rocky about his relationship with Adrian. Women weaken legs. Just a thought. Yeah, this is what I hear. It's what I understand the case to be. Update on Charleston. They're in a good one. Hofstra leading 18-17. 7:27 to go in the half. Jake Bentley coming up at the bottom. And then some recruiting, more of your phone calls, your messages. Let's head to Bruce in Missouri next up here on Sports Talk. And welcome in, Bruce. How are you?
Well, Phil, thanks for taking my call. Just giving you the update on Paige Becker. I watched them play last night against a team, and all rookies were playing the game. And she was sitting out. She's okay.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be coming back next game. Anyway, the rookies look unbelievable. I'm just giving you a heads up.
All right.
They're going to be in the Final Four with these rookies.
Oh, Connecticut will be right there.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be
I'm
right
just saying, they don't need her. I'm telling you right now, they just swept the damn court off. I mean, every one of them came out there hitting everything.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let us know what you hear on that. Let's go quickly to Robert. Nope. Where'd Robert go?
He probably went home.
He evaporated on us?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to see. Now, doggone it. I could have kept Bruce for another 30 seconds, but I was trying to be a good talk show host and squeeze Robert in. Robert, you can give us a call back after we have our interview with Jake Bentley coming up. And let's see. What does this say from Ray again? I don't think Philly will want to Facebook much over time. What does that mean?
He doesn't think you're going to like it. He thinks you are going to try to go back to Twitter at some point.
You think I'm going to get on my hands and knees and beg Twitter to take us back?
We've already been doing that for the last 2 months.
Why would I not like Facebook? This is a friendly crowd. This is a mature crowd. This is a crowd with the money. These are the people. These are the people that buy the cars, that go to the sports bars, that buy the insurance, that use Seawells for their catering needs, that use Larry Lucas for their insurance needs. That's this crowd. That call Jim Corbett and Lawyer Lisa and all the others. That's this crowd. So appreciate it. Jake Bentley is coming up after the break. Looking forward to it. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Very chilly with a low temperature this evening, dipping down to 23. Tomorrow, things will change dramatically. We'll have clouds much of the day that turns to rain, sleet, and some snow for the afternoon. Dangerous driving conditions for the drive home with a high of just 37. And those icy conditions could carry into Saturday morning. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
If you step onto H&J Cattle Company's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle CO.
This is an SRN News special report. The Supreme Court delivers a decision on the Trump hush money case. A divided Supreme Court has rejected President-elect Donald Trump's bid to delay sentencing in his New York hush money case. The court's Thursday order clears the way for Judge Juan Merchan to impose a sentence Friday on Trump, who was convicted in what prosecutors called an attempt to cover up a $130,000 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Merchan has said he will not give Trump jail time. Trump's attorneys have argued that evidence used in the Manhattan trial violated last summer's Supreme Court ruling giving Trump broad immunity from prosecution over acts he took as president. At the least, they said, the sentencing should be delayed while their appeals play out. This has been an SRN News special report. I'm Keith Peters.
Drivers who switch and save with...
So who needs broker solar? Well, it's the homeowner or the business owner that wants to take some control of their own power bills. It's the family that decides clean solar is the path for them. Or maybe it's the church or nonprofit that wants to save some big dollars for their cause. Is it you? Maybe it's time you wake up to all broker solar can do for you. You have to let Ken and his team be your ultimate guide in what is pretty complex, this solar world. Make no mistake, solar energy is not for everyone. Despite what the scammers and door-knocking liars tell you, it is not free. It's a significant investment, but it has significant returns. From home installations to solar farms, broker solar can personalize your solar solution by meeting your needs and your budget. Their menu includes everything from full-scale solar on your roof or land and even battery backups for those pesky power outages that we've all endured. Visit brokersolar.com, stick it to the utility companies while also bathing in the sunny side of savings. Brokersolar.com, giving you the power instead of leaving you feeling powerless.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big that the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hey all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair, their team is courteous and professional, plus they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network on a Thursday night, leading into the first semifinal college football playoffs, kicking off in about 15, 20 minutes. It'll be Penn State, Notre Dame, tomorrow night, Texas, and Ohio State. Why not talk some football tonight? And let's welcome back to the program. But this is the first time, I think, unless we talked to him back when he was in high school and he committed to South Carolina, we had him on live. Otherwise, it was only on tape during his career at South Carolina. But now we get him live because he is a high school head football coach in South Carolina. So he's going to have to put up with us here on Sports Talk and on the high school scoreboard in the seasons to come. Let's welcome in Jake Bentley to Sports Talk, the new head football coach at Nation Ford High School in Fort Mill. And first of all, welcome and congratulations.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. It's good to be back. Like you said, it's been a while.
It has been. So how's it feel to run your own program?
And it's exciting. It's exciting, and I know you say it's my program, but I want to be able to make sure that it's not all about me, and it's going to take everybody inside of a program to pull the rope, as it's going to be our team motto, and everyone's got to pull it, and I'm glad I can be a small piece of it, and excited to get going. Had a great first 2 days with the guys here. Just really appreciated the way they've attacked each workout that I've seen so far, and if we can continue to do that and continue to surround them with a great staff, it's going to be special to see.
Tell us about what you can share about how you went from being assistant coach at Rock Hill. You obviously put your name in for this job or interested in this job. What was some of the background for you getting this job?
Well, the administration at NAFO has a lot of connections to the Rock Hill community, and you hear it over and over again about how special those people are. Mr. Chandler being the leader here, our principal, and I think everyone in Rock Hill and Fort Mill will tell you how special of a person he is, and so that intrigued me at first, and then when you look at Nation Ford High School and being a blue ribbon school, and just a standard of excellence is already established there, and so with a great administration, along with a mindset of greatness, academically right now that we're going to be able to hopefully build upon. Coach Brian Dillon coming in to be the AD as well. Just a lot of positive momentum right now, and was able to put my name in the hat and go through the interview process, and blessed and grateful to be given this opportunity.
Sure. What is the football situation there in that community? I mean, you come from a community from Burns, of course, where football was such a high priority, and that whole area where you grew up, we all know how people feel about high school football. What about over in Fort Mill, Nation Ford? What's the football situation you're stepping into, and the support level there for a good football program?
Well, you're walking into a community that's hungry, that's hungry for to have that type of team, to have that Burns level team. That's something they can hang their hat on. That the small kids in the community can grow up and be proud to be a Nation Ford Falcon and look forward to being that. And then like I hit on the leadership already, but there's school board members, our superintendent. There's a lot of special people in charge, and they want to make it. They want to make it different. They want to be able to build it the right way and create an environment for athletics to be extremely successful. And like I said, something that our community can take pride in, of knowing that each and every year we're going to have a team that's able to compete at the highest level.
Visiting with Jake Bentley, former Gamecock quarterback, and now the head coach at Nation Ford High School. So what do you want to do? I know what you want to do offensively. Will you be able to do what you want to do offensively? I'm assuming that you're going to kind of want to throw the ball a pretty good bit.
A little bit. At the end of the day, Phil, what I'm going to challenge our staff and challenge myself is to be ultra focused and hypersensitive of what our guys are good at. I can love four verts, I can love double posts, but if we don't have a quarterback that can do it, then we're not going to run it. We're going to run the concepts that he's good at and put him in position to be successful. I think so often a downfall of a lot of coaches is they try to fit a round peg into a square hole. And, we're going to evaluate spring and this summer to truly evaluate what our guys are good at and build the offense around them. And so to answer your question, I can tell you this, we're going to be extremely, we're going to attack. We're going to be aggressive in what we do. We're going to challenge defenses, going to keep them on their toes formationally, using motions and just, we want to hold the pin last. We want to hold the chalk last, make them spend all Sunday afternoon trying to figure out what we're going to line up in and keep it simple for our guys at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You're in a tough region, you got a state champion in Northwestern, you got Catawba Ridge, Clover, of course you were at Rock Hill, so you know what this region's all about. You know what you've got to deal with, an improved Indian Land program as well. So upward mobility is going to be, at least starting out, it's going to be kind of a challenge for you.
Absolutely. And that's something that we've took note of and going to embrace the challenge. Going to embrace that we're going to work our tails off in the off season and summer to hit any adversity in the face. That's what I told the guys today. That man, our dedication to the weight room, our dedication to how we go about each and every day is going to give us the best chance to be successful. When you're playing in one of the top regions in the state, you got to bring it every day. You don't have the opportunity to. You don't have the luxury other regions may have of having a off week. You got to bring it every day, every Friday in the fall, and in turn, we got to bring it every day here in January.
I know putting a staff together for a high school team is different from the colleges and the pros. I mean, you got to consider the academic side and the teaching side. But that being said, what are you able to do with your staff? Do you have the flexibility to bring in some people you'd like to have on your staff?
Yeah, well, when you talk about teachers and coaches, just to hit on that right quick, I think it's impossible to be a great coach if you're not a great teacher. And that's what we do every day. Now, you got to be dedicated to the classroom, but as far as that regard, we're going to bring in coaches that are great teachers of football and in turn should be great teachers in the classroom as well. But yes, there is some flexibility there, and like I said, my job as the head coach and to serve our players is surround them with the best staff possible, and that's what I plan on doing. A staff that honestly and truly is dedicated to serving, loving, and caring for our kids. Even if they may not know, be a football mastermind. Hey, we'll go into that. I want coaches that are ready to be a light for our kids and to serve them, and then at the same time, though, let's be ready to scheme some things up and to challenge our guys to be the best they can on the field.
Talking with Jake Bentley a couple of more minutes. I got to believe, obviously, you and your dad have talked a lot about what it means to be a head coach, how to be a head coach, and I'm guessing that you probably have talked some with Will Muschamp about what it's like to be a head coach and how to run a program. Am I correct that those two have kind of given you some advice on how to get this thing rolling?
Yes, sir. Definitely. My dad, I was actually planning on talking to Coach Muschamp again over the weekend.
What's their advice?
Yeah, well, Dad's big thing is to like I said, surround yourself with a staff that's going to pull the rope in the same direction. That's going to echo your message. That's going to be able to pour into the kids the same way that I want to, and our kids and the kids have to see that genuinity from you and that genuine connection that you want to grow with them, and they got to feel you. It can't be all lip service. You got to make sure that you can't talk about how important the weight room is and not be in the weight room. right? And we can't ask our kids to do something that we're not willing to do. But man, I'm gonna be hitting him up probably every day, asking him different questions. But that was his big thing. I'm just talking about just establishing the identity of what you want your team to be, and then your staff has to then follow through with that as well. And emphasis that you put on things has to be reflective of what the messaging is from the whole staff.
Yeah. I imagine Coach Muschamp will tell you, don't be afraid to stick your face in the fan or something like that.
Ain't no doubt. But, I think the biggest thing with Coach Muschamp is just let the guys see how much it means to you. All right. See how much winning championships means to you. See how much the weight room means, and let that passion and energy flow through you, and it'll be infectious to the kids.
Last thing, would you like to schedule a game against your dad?
Oh, that would be awesome. I'll make him come. I'm gonna make him come here first, though. make him come here.
He'll probably do it.
All right. He would. We'll get on ESPN too.
That'd be fine. You know what? That'd be just cool. Hey, congratulations once again. And the next step for you. Oh, I was trying to think out loud. How many of you and your brothers, how many of you guys were quarterbacks? Was it 4?
Yes, 4 of us.
4 of you, all quarterbacks.
Yep. So my Chase, oldest brother, played at obviously at Burns, and then Rutgers. Schuler played at Old Dominion and Murray State. Obviously, I played, and then Brooks, my little brother, actually just transferred to the University of New Hampshire to finish up his career, his last 2 to 3 years up there. So.
That's right. He went from Wingate to New Hampshire.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Well, congratulations, man. We know you're going to do a great job. Look forward to talking to you during the season. Get you on our high school scoreboard show. Talk about a win when that happens, and look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Maybe we'll see you in February at the Coaches Clinic in Myrtle Beach.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Sir.
Thank you, Jake Bentley. All right, new head coach there at Nation Ford. They were 2-8 last year, 1-5 in their region. Only averaged 21 points a game. Gave up 43. So, yeah, they got some work to do. Are they underway? They're underway. Penn State, Notre Dame. They're finally underway. I just saw Penn State break a play here. I think I picked the right team to win that game. Am I ever wrong? Yeah. I didn't win our championship, so I was wrong a lot. We'll be back with recruiting after the break.
Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and that means it's time to get your finances back on track. With Founders Federal Credit Union, you can manage your debt like a pro this year. Consolidate any high-interest debt with a personal loan from Founders. Debt consolidation offers several advantages like simplified payments, lower interest rates, fixed interest rates, and extended payment terms. It may even improve your credit score or even help you avoid default. So simplify and possibly reduce your payments by consolidating your debt. At Founders, we have personal loans to fit your needs, whether you need a little or you need a lot. Plus, our loan officers will work with you on your payment terms and help you find a solution that fits your budget. So stop by one of our locations or visit foundersfcu.com/personal loans to apply for a personal loan today. Relax. You're with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Hi, Phil Kornblut here with our good friend George Bryan III. Heard every Friday night on Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps right here on Sports Talk. George, the Tsunami Bar, a very valuable tool for golfers. Why is that?
Well, the first thing that I say is the tempo. It's the only tool out there that allows the study of tension right from the first grab to be expressed, and rhythm and tempo is what makes the bar work, and it gives you something awfully special to keep those hands soft and get that rhythm going.
Learn more about Tsunami Bar technology by clicking on the digital ad on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and save 5% by purchasing online using the promo code BBB5. Thanks again to Jake Bentley. Good stuff. Appreciate him being with us. Recruiting in a second. Hofstra leading Charleston 31-27 at the half. Penn State had a little drive going, but it stopped. And so they've punted to the 10. Notre Dame will take over at their own 10. Ohio State leading Oregon 61-58. Basketball, not football. 6 minutes to go. And Purdue over Rutgers 62-46. And also that Sun Belt game we mentioned earlier. Take a look at that. And Marshall trailing James Madison, JMU up 34-32. Also in the Sun Belt, it's Troy over Texas State 36-31. Now to recruiting.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
It is time for the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawell's. Okay, I just got breaking news. So, wintry weather is supposed to hit the state tomorrow sometime. We're talking like, what do they call it? A wintry mix?
Yeah, wintry mix.
Ice and snow. Well, I do understand. If you're concerned about getting to Seawell's for the daily luncheon buffet tomorrow at 11 o'clock, have no fear, because the driver of the state snowplow, he goes to Seawell's every Friday. So he is going to clear the path to Seawell's through all that ice and snow.
Have you seen him there?
I've seen him there. I've talked to him.
What does he say?
His name is John.
John must be a nice guy.
John, the state plow driver. Snow plow driver. Anyway, don't worry about it. All roads are clear going to Seawell's tomorrow for the daily luncheon buffet, which will feature
grilled hamburger, steak and onions, southern fried chicken, and baked flounder fillets from the Congaree with 8 eyes.
From the Congaree. And, of course, now that if anybody getting married this year in 2025,
maybe.
I think it'd be a good time to get married.
Before football season.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to have a corporate outing, an awards banquet, a business luncheon. You got all that and more. Well, you want to have Seawell's handle all your cooking, all your catering, your setup, your breakdown, your cleanup. I'm not talking about your breakdown after you realize you've gotten married and you're breaking down. I'm talking about breaking down all the tables and chairs and the cleanup. That's what they do. Set up, deliver, clean up. They do it your place or their place. For more information, reach out to them at 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. All righty. Well, let's talk about a couple of players. Zion Giles, the 6'5", 290 offensive tackle from Carver's Bay. Spoke with him last night, and he's had coaches in to see him. Clemson's Matt Luke was first. He said that he flew in, and he made him his first stop of the coaching of the contact period, which impressed Giles. They sat down. They talked about his role, how he would fit into their scheme, how much they like him. He also went over and visited, this is Matt Luke, went over and visited his mother's business, which they also considered to be impressive. So they just talked about making the right decision, not only for the moment, but for a lifetime. He's been up to Clemson several times, and Tigers are on his list very strongly. He says he's liked Clemson since he was a kid. They're definitely high on his list, close to home. They've meant a lot to him since he was a youngster, he said. They're good at developing players, always high on his list. USC offensive line coach Lonnie Teasley was by yesterday. And Giles said it was basically the same thing as with Coach Luke, basically telling him how much of a player he is, how much of an athlete he is, and how they can develop him to be more than just an athlete, and he can be a key point, a vital point in their offense. He says they're building a better relationship, and like Clemson, a frequent visitor to USC, the Gamecocks have made him a priority. Giles says that they're very high on his list. Being able to stay close to home, he said, is always great, and South Carolina's developing players, and he said Coach Shane Beamer is a good guy. The offensive line coach from Auburn was also in this week, and he's expecting a visit from Georgia, or was expecting Georgia this morning, and Tennessee coming in soon as well. He has not scheduled any junior day visits thus far, but he said he plans to make visits with USC, Clemson, Auburn, Florida, and Tennessee at this point. Clemson used their playoff season to impress 2026 offensive line recruit Grant Wise, 6'3", 310 of Milton, Florida. Of course, Clemson's in his 12, along with Oklahoma, Miami, Penn State, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas A&M. He has upcoming visits planned with A&M, Tennessee, and Florida. He also plans for a Clemson Junior Day visit March 8th and an official visit the first weekend in June. He also plans an official visit to Oregon. So he has been on Dabo Swinney's radar for quite some time. Tigers initially offered him in the summer, and then he visited the Clemson camp as well. He spent time working with Matt Luke, so he's very high on the Clemson staff, and he calls Swinney probably the best coach in college football at the moment. Really likes that he's a down-to-earth guy in his opinion. So Clemson's definitely going to be in this one for the long run, and we'll see how things play out with him as he narrows his list. He's got his 12, but he plans to trim it down to 5 or 6 schools after a spring that's expected to be filled with visits. And again, we talked about him going to Clemson for Junior Day and also coming back for an official visit. Clemson and USC target wide receiver Gordon Sellers of Charlotte was offered by Penn State. Bowling Green transfer defensive tackle Devontae Miles visiting USC today, according to Hale McGranahan, the Big Spur, coming off a visit to Mississippi State. He might also visit Georgia. Clemson offensive line coach Matt Luke on Wednesday paid a visit to offensive tackle Bear McWhorter of Cartersville, Georgia. And Coastal Carolina is going to have some quarterbacks to work with. They'd already signed a junior college quarterback. They've got the former NC State and Maryland quarterback, Morris, transferring in. And now they've signed San Jose State transfer quarterback Emmett Brown, according to 24/7 Sports. This season, Brown had 1,621 yards passing with 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's it for recruiting tonight. Make sure you follow our recruiting updates on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Facebook, on our Facebook page at Sports Talk Media Network.
If you want to find some old news, you can search up hashtag ST Recruiting on Twitter. But
yeah, if you want to go back a few months.
Yeah.
All right. Anything happened in this football game yet besides punts?
Nope.
Yeah.
Back
Did you
and
pick
forth.
anybody? Did you pick a winner?
I'll go to Notre Dame.
Okay. Well, I'm going Penn State.
Okay.
So we'll see who the smartest is. Notre Dame is having to punt after its first possession. So both teams could do nothing with their opening possessions as far as getting into the end zone. One more update on the College of Charleston as we sign things off tonight. They're at the half, and Hofstra is leading Charleston 31-27. And Ohio State leads Oregon 67-62 in the Big Ten. That'll do it. Thank you, Josh. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. Have a great night. Bundle up, and we'll see you tomorrow.